Fleet Commander Nexus stood on the bridge of his massive warship, watching the stars through the clear energy field that served as a window. His ship was called the Void Crusher, and it was the most powerful vessel in the Valthek Confederation fleet. The ship stretched for 3 kilometers and glowed with blue energy that ran through crystal channels along its hull. Nexus had served the Confederation for over 200 years. In that time, he had conquered 47 star systems and destroyed countless enemy fleets. The secret to his success was simple. The Valthek had the best energy weapons in the galaxy. Their plasma cannons could turn a mountain into dust in seconds. Their energy shields could stop any attack that other species could make. The bridge around him hummed with quiet power. His crew worked at stations made of living crystal that responded to their thoughts. Every surface glowed with soft light, and data flowed through the air as holographic displays. This was what advanced civilization looked like. This was what 3,000 years of galactic dominance had built. "Commander," said his tactical officer, pointing to a display that appeared in the air between them, "we have detected an unknown vessel entering the Kepler 442 system." Nexus looked at the display with mild interest. Unknown vessels were not uncommon. The galaxy was full of small species trying to explore space for the first time. Most of them surrendered immediately when they saw Confederation ships. The smart ones learned to stay out of Valthek territory. "Show me the vessel," Nexus ordered. The display changed to show a 3-dimensional image of the unknown ship. Nexus frowned as he studied it. The vessel looked primitive compared to Valthek ships. It was made of gray metal instead of energy-conducting crystal. Its shape was angular and rough, not smooth and flowing like proper starship design. Worst of all, it showed no energy signature beyond basic propulsion. "How large is it?" Nexus asked. "Approximately 800 meters long, Commander. Much smaller than our ships." Nexus almost laughed. 800 meters was tiny compared to the Void Crusher. His ship could destroy something that small without even charging its main weapons to full power. "Do we have any information about what species built this ship?" His intelligence officer consulted her crystal display. "Yes, Commander. Our scouts report that it belongs to a species called humans. They come from a system they call Sol, located in the Outer Rim. Our first contact teams made initial surveys of their worlds 3 months ago." "And what did the surveys find?" "A primitive species, Commander. They still use metal and chemical reactions for most of their technology. Their weapons are based on kinetic force rather than energy manipulation. Our analyst classified them as a pre-space civilization that somehow developed basic faster-than-light travel." Nexus nodded. This was not unusual. Sometimes primitive species stumbled onto space travel through luck or accident. They usually learned quickly that the galaxy belonged to more advanced races like the Valthek. "Have they been contacted according to standard first contact protocol?" "No, Commander. This appears to be their first venture into deep space. The vessel has been traveling for several weeks and shows signs of long-range exploration." This was interesting. Nexus thought for a moment. When primitive species first left their home systems, they usually encountered Confederation patrol ships that explained the galactic order to them. These species learned that the Valthek ruled this part of space, and that they needed to submit to Confederation authority or face destruction. But this human ship had somehow reached the contested Kepler 442 system without meeting a patrol. That meant they had no idea what they were walking into. They probably thought they were exploring empty space. "Commander," said his communications officer, "what are your orders?" Nexus smiled. This was an opportunity. The Kepler 442 system was currently disputed territory. 3 different species were claiming rights to mine the asteroid belts there. If he destroyed this human ship in full view of their monitoring stations, it would send a clear message about Confederation power. "Bring the fleet to battle formation," Nexus ordered. "Signal the other ships to form a standard intimidation pattern around the human vessel." His crew moved efficiently to carry out the orders. The Void Crusher turned toward the human ship, its massive bulk casting shadows across space. 5 other Confederation warships moved with it, their hulls glowing brighter as they charged their weapon systems. "Open a communication channel to the human vessel," Nexus said. "Let me speak to whoever commands that ship." The communications officer worked at her crystal console. "Channel open, Commander." Nexus activated his universal translator and began to speak. "Attention, human vessel. This is Fleet Commander Nexus of the Valthek Confederation. You have entered space under Confederation control. By order of the Galactic Authority, you will immediately power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. He paused, letting his words sink in. Most species needed a moment to understand what was happening to them. Your species is new to space travel, he continued. You do not yet understand how the galaxy works. Allow me to explain. The Valthek Confederation rules this region of space. We have done so for 3,000 years. We have the most advanced technology in the galaxy. We have never been defeated in battle. Nexus looked at the tactical display showing the human ship. It continued on its course without changing speed or direction. Perhaps they needed a demonstration. Weapons officer, he said, fire a warning shot across their bow. Use minimum power. One of the Void Crusher's smaller plasma cannons fired a bright blue beam that passed in front of the human ship. The beam was powerful enough to destroy a small asteroid, but Nexus was being merciful. He wanted to educate these humans, not kill them immediately. Human vessel, he continued his transmission. You have now seen a tiny fraction of our power. That warning shot could have destroyed your ship completely. You cannot fight us. You cannot escape us. Your only choice is surrender. The tactical officer reported that the human ship was still not responding. It maintained course and speed as if nothing had happened. Perhaps their communication systems are too primitive to properly receive our transmissions, suggested the communications officer. Nexus shook his head. No. Their ship responded to the warning shot by adjusting its shields. They heard us. They understand what we said. Then why do they not surrender? That was a good question. In 200 years of service, Nexus had never encountered a species that did not immediately surrender when faced with Confederation power. Even the most warlike races knew better than to fight when the odds were hopeless. Scan their ship more carefully, Nexus ordered. I want to know exactly what we are dealing with. The scan results appeared on his display. The human ship was indeed primitive by Valthek standards. Its hull was made of processed metals. Its power source appeared to be some kind of contained nuclear reaction. Its weapons were completely unfamiliar. The scanners detected magnetic acceleration systems that made no sense for space combat. Commander, said his weapons officer, I am detecting unusual readings from their ship. They appear to be charging some kind of weapon system, but our computers cannot identify the technology. Nexus felt a moment of confusion. Primitive species were not supposed to have weapon systems that Valthek computers could not identify. The Confederation had encountered every type of energy weapon in the galaxy. What kind of weapons? Unknown, sir. The magnetic signatures suggest some form of mass acceleration, but no energy buildup that would indicate plasma or laser weapons. Mass acceleration? Nexus had never heard of weapons based on accelerating mass. What was the point of throwing objects at enemy ships when energy weapons were so much more effective? Sir, said the tactical officer, the human ship is turning toward us. They appear to be moving to an attack position. Nexus stared at the display in disbelief. The tiny human ship was actually preparing to fight 6 Confederation warships. Either these humans were completely insane or they knew something that the Valthek did not. Charge all weapons to full power, Nexus ordered. If they want to fight, we will teach them why that is a mistake. Prepare to destroy their ship. Around him, the bridge filled with the hum of charging plasma weapons. The Void Crusher and its escort ships powered their main guns. Energy flowed through crystal conduits as the most powerful weapons in the galaxy prepared to fire. Nexus watched the human ship approach and felt a strange mixture of anticipation and confusion. In a few moments, this would all be over. The primitive humans would learn the same lesson that every other species had learned. Do not challenge the Valthek Confederation. But something about the way the human ship moved bothered him. It did not flee like a frightened animal. It did not hesitate like a confused explorer. It moved with purpose and confidence as if it knew exactly what it was doing. That should have been impossible. The countdown to weapons range began, and Nexus prepared to add another victory to his long career. The space around the human ship erupted in brilliant blue fire as 6 Valthek warships opened fire simultaneously. Plasma beams that could vaporize asteroids struck the Indomitable from multiple directions. The energy discharge was so intense that it created a miniature star in the darkness of space. Fleet Commander Nexus watched the attack with satisfaction. No ship could survive that much concentrated firepower. The humans had made their choice, and now they would face the consequences. When the plasma cleared, there would be nothing left but scattered debris. But as the brilliant light faded, Nexus stared in disbelief at his tactical display. The human ship was still there. Its hull glowed red-hot from the energy absorption, and sections of its outer armor had been stripped away. But the vessel remained intact and functional. "Impossible," whispered his tactical officer. "No ship can survive a direct hit from 6 plasma cannons." Nexus studied the readings more carefully. The human ship had taken enormous damage, but its underlying structure had held. How is that possible? Every species the Valthek had encountered used energy shields for defense. When those shields failed, the ships were destroyed instantly. "Sir," reported his weapons officer, "the human vessel is still moving. It appears to be heading toward the asteroid field." "Fire again," Nexus ordered. "Full power. Concentrate all weapons on their engine section." The Valthek ships fired another devastating volley. This time, the plasma beams focused on the rear of the human ship, trying to destroy its propulsion systems. The concentrated energy should have been enough to crack a small moon. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Dongwu felt his ship shake as the second wave of plasma fire struck his vessel. Emergency lights flashed throughout the bridge as damage reports flooded in from all sections. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Park Ji-ho reported, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Emergency bulkheads have sealed the breach. Outer armor is at 60% integrity, but the inner hull is holding." "Engine status?" Dongwu asked. "Main engine still functional, sir. The ablative armor absorbed most of the energy. We have lost some maneuvering thrusters, but we can still fight." Dongwu nodded. The Indomitable had been designed to survive exactly this type of attack. Human ships used layered armor systems that could absorb and dissipate energy weapons. The outer layers would burn away, but the inner structure was built to withstand enormous punishment. "Mr. Choi, analysis of their weapons?" Lieutenant Choi Min-soo studied his tactical display. "Sir, their plasma weapons are incredibly powerful, but they work exactly as we predicted. They are pure energy attacks designed to overwhelm energy shields. Against our physical armor, they are less effective than they expect." "Distance to target?" 15,000 kilometers and closing, sir. "We will be in optimal railgun range in 2 minutes." Commander Kim Hana checked her weapons display. "Sir, all railguns are charged and ready. Targeting computers have locks on the lead alien ship." Dongwu watched the alien fleet on his main screen. The 6 massive ships were maintaining their formation, continuing to fire plasma weapons at his vessel. They seemed confused by the Indomitable's survival, and were repeating the same tactics that had already failed. "They are fighting like they have never encountered armor before," he observed. "Mr. Park, can our ship survive another attack like that?" The chief engineer considered the damage reports. "Sir, our armor is holding, but it cannot absorb unlimited energy. Another concentrated attack might penetrate to critical systems. Then we need to hit them before they can fire again." "Ms. Kim, do you have a clear shot at the lead ship?" "Yes, sir. The alien vessels are maintaining a tight formation. If we target their command ship, the others might break formation and give us better opportunities." Dongwu made his decision. "Fire." The Indomitable's main railgun rotated toward the massive Valthek flagship. Magnetic coils accelerated a tungsten projectile to nearly 10% of light speed. The process took only microseconds, and the projectile was too small and fast for normal sensors to track. Nexus was ordering his third attack when his tactical officer suddenly shouted a warning. "Sir, the humans have fired some kind of weapon." "What kind of weapon?" Nexus demanded. "I see no energy discharge." "Unknown, sir. Our sensors detected a brief magnetic pulse, but no energy beam or plasma discharge." Nexus frowned. What kind of weapon produced a magnetic pulse but no visible energy? Before he could ask for more information, his ship shook violently. Emergency alarms began sounding throughout the bridge. "Damage report," Nexus shouted over the noise. "Sir," his damage control officer reported, "we have massive structural damage to decks 12 through 18. Something has punched completely through our shields and hull. We have lost power to 3 weapon batteries and our secondary shield generators." "What hit us?" "Unknown, sir. Our shields registered no impact. There was no energy signature. Something simply appeared inside our ship and caused enormous damage." Nexus stared at the damage reports in confusion. A physical object had somehow passed through his ship's energy shields as if they did not exist. That should have been impossible. Valthek's shields were designed to stop any form of attack. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, The human ship has fired again. Another tungsten projectile slammed into the Void Crusher, this time striking the main weapon battery. The relativistic impact tore through crystal conduits and destroyed 3 plasma cannons. Energy feedback surged through the ship's systems, causing secondary explosions throughout the vessel. Aboard the Indomitable, Kim Ha-na watched her railgun impacts with professional satisfaction. Direct hits, sir. The alien flagship has taken severe damage. Their energy output is dropping significantly. Excellent shooting. Target the next ship in line. Dongwu observed the alien formation on his tactical display. The enemy ships were beginning to spread out, finally realizing that their tight formation made them easy targets. But they were also moving more slowly than he had expected. Mr. Choi, why are they not maneuvering more aggressively? The tactical officer studied the alien movement patterns. Sir, I think their ships are not designed for rapid maneuvering. Look at their size and power distribution. Most of their energy goes to weapons and shields. They probably rely on long-range firepower rather than mobility, which means, if we can get close enough, we will have a significant advantage in maneuverability. Our ship is much smaller and more agile. Navigator Yoon So-young reported their position. Sir, we are approaching the asteroid field. The largest alien ships will have difficulty following us into the dense areas. Dongwu saw the opportunity immediately. Take us into the asteroids. Use them for cover while we engage the smaller ships. The Indomitable dove into the asteroid field, weaving between rocks the size of city blocks. The alien ships tried to follow, but their massive size made navigation difficult. 2 of the smaller Valtech vessels managed to pursue the human ship, but the 4 larger ones had to stay at the edge of the field. Sir, Kim Ha-na reported, I have targeting solutions on both pursuing ships. Fire at will. The Indomitable's railguns spoke again, sending tungsten projectiles through space at incredible velocity. The first alien ship, caught by surprise in the confined space of the asteroid field, took a direct hit to its main reactor. The impact caused a massive explosion that lit up the entire asteroid field. The second alien ship tried to retreat, but the Indomitable had already fired again. This time the projectile struck the ship's main weapon array, disabling its ability to fight back. Nexus watched in horror as 2 more of his ships were destroyed or disabled. The human vessel moved through the asteroid field like it belonged there, using the rocks for cover and striking from unexpected angles. His remaining ships could not get clear shots without risking damage from the asteroids themselves. Sir, his communications officer reported, the other ships are requesting orders. They do not understand how to fight this enemy. Nexus realized that his fleet was facing a type of combat they had never encountered before. The humans were not trying to overpower his ships with superior energy weapons. Instead, they were using tactics, mobility, and weapons that ignored Valtech defenses entirely. All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance, he ordered. We need to analyze this situation. As the surviving Valtech ships pulled back from the asteroid field, Nexus studied the tactical reports. 3 of his 6 ships had been destroyed or disabled by an enemy vessel 1/3 their size. The human weapons had passed through his shields like they were not there. His energy weapons, while powerful, were not effectively damaging the human ship's armor. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, I believe we are fighting an enemy that uses completely different technology than we do. Their weapons and defenses operate on principles we do not understand. Nexus nodded grimly. For the first time in his 200-year career, he was facing an enemy that his superior technology could not easily defeat. The humans had found weaknesses in Valtech systems that no other species had ever exploited. In the asteroid field, Captain Dongwu assessed his situation. His ship had taken damage, but it was still fully operational. More importantly, he had proven that human weapons could penetrate alien defenses and that human armor could survive alien attacks. Mr. Choi, he said, analysis of the remaining enemy ships? Captain Lee Dongwu sat in his command chair aboard the UES Indomitable, studying the alien ships that had appeared on his tactical display. His ship had been exploring the Kepler 442 system for 3 days, mapping asteroid fields and scanning for useful minerals. Now 6 massive alien vessels surrounded him, each one larger than anything Earth had ever built. Captain, said Communications Officer Lim Hyun-woo from his station, we are receiving a transmission from the lead alien ship. The signal is being run through our universal translator. but the language structure is completely unknown. Put it through the speakers, Dongwu ordered. The bridge filled with a strange voice speaking accented English. The words were clear, but the tone was cold and commanding. The alien commander demanded immediate surrender and spoke of something called the Valthek Confederation. He claimed that his people had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. Dongwu listened carefully to every word. When the transmission ended, he turned to his senior staff. Analysis. Chief Engineer Park Ji-ho looked up from his instruments. Captain, those ships are generating enormous energy signatures. Their power output is far beyond anything in our databases. If those readings are accurate, just one of their ships could destroy an entire Earth fleet. Weapons? Dongwu asked. Commander Kim Hana checked her tactical display. Unknown energy-based systems, sir. The scanners detect massive plasma generation capabilities. Those ships appear to be designed around energy weapons that we have never seen before. Lieutenant Choi Min-soo studied the alien formation on his screen. Captain, there is something interesting about how they are positioned. Their ships are arranged for long-range energy combat. Look at their weapon ports. They are all forward-facing. Their formation suggests they expect to fight at a distance using overwhelming firepower. Dongwu nodded. This matched what he had heard in the alien transmission. The commander had spoken with absolute confidence, as if he had never encountered an enemy who could resist his weapons. What about their defenses? He asked. Energy shields, sir, Park Ji-ho reported. Very powerful ones. The readings suggest they can absorb enormous amounts of energy-based attacks. A bright blue beam suddenly flashed across the Indomitable's bow. The alien ships had fired a warning shot that lit up the darkness of space like a small star. Damage report, Dongwu called out. No damage, sir, Park Ji-ho replied. The beam passed in front of us. But Captain, if that had been a direct hit, our armor would have absorbed most of the energy, but we still would have taken significant damage. Navigator Yoon So-young looked up from her station. Captain, they are demanding that we surrender. What are your orders? Dongwu thought carefully. The smart thing to do would be to surrender or try to escape. These alien ships clearly had superior firepower. Earth had sent the Indomitable on an exploration mission, not to start a war with advanced aliens. But something about the alien commander's message bothered him. The alien had spoken as if human surrender was inevitable. He had not even considered the possibility that humans might fight back. His tone suggested that every species they had encountered had immediately given up when faced with Valthek power. Mr. Choi, Dongwu said, you mentioned their weapon positioning. What does that tell us about their combat experience? The tactical officer studied his displays more carefully. Sir, their ships appear to be designed to fight enemies who use similar technology. Their formations and weapon systems are optimized for energy-based combat at long range. I see no evidence that they have ever fought against kinetic weapons or physical projectiles. Explain. Well, sir, look at their energy shields. They are clearly designed to deflect or absorb energy attacks like lasers or plasma weapons. But shields like that work by creating energy fields that interact with incoming energy. They would not be effective against solid objects moving at high velocity. Commander Kim Hana joined the discussion. Sir, our main weapons are railguns that fire tungsten projectiles at relativistic speeds. If Lieutenant Choi is correct about their shields, our weapons might be able to penetrate their defenses. Park Ji-ho shook his head. Even if our weapons can penetrate their shields, we are still outnumbered 6-1, and their ships are much larger than ours. Size is not everything, Dongwu said quietly. Mr. Choi, what else can you tell me about their tactical approach? Sir, they are fighting like a species that has never faced serious opposition. Their formation is designed for intimidation rather than tactical efficiency. They are bunched together in a way that would make them vulnerable to area effect weapons, and their maneuvering patterns suggest their ships are not designed for close-range combat. Dongwu considered this information. The Indomitable was Earth's most advanced warship, built using lessons learned from centuries of human warfare. Its designers had studied every naval battle in human history, from ancient sea combat to orbital engagements. The ship was designed to fight enemies who might use any type of weapon or tactic, but these aliens appeared to have developed along a single technological path. They had created incredibly powerful energy weapons and shields, but they seemed to have no experience with physical projectiles, armor-based defense, or close-range maneuvering combat. Captain, Lim Hyun-woo reported, the aliens are transmitting again. They want an immediate response to their surrender demand. Signal our response, Dongwu ordered. Tell them that the United Earth ship Indomitable does not surrender. The communications officer looked surprised. Sir, are you sure? Send the message. As Lim Hyunwoo transmitted the response, Dongwu turned to address his entire bridge crew. I know this seems like a hopeless situation. These alien ships are larger and more powerful than ours, but they have made several mistakes that give us an opportunity. He stood up and moved to the tactical display. First, they assume that their energy weapons are unstoppable, because they have never fought an enemy with different technology. Second, they position their ships like they expect us to fight the same way they do. Third, they have never encountered kinetic weapons and do not know how to defend against them. Commander Kim Ha-na spoke up. Captain, even if our weapons can penetrate their defenses, we still need to get close enough to use them effectively. Our railguns are most effective at short to medium range. Which brings us to our advantages, Dongwu continued. The Indomitable was designed for multiple types of combat. Our armor can absorb energy attacks. Our maneuvering systems are designed for close-range fighting. Our weapons can fire in multiple directions while we move. Lieutenant Choi nodded. Sir, if we can close the distance, their large ships will have difficulty targeting us. Their weapons appear to be designed for long-range combat against stationary or slow-moving targets. Park Ji-ho looked worried. Captain, this is still an enormous risk. If our analysis is wrong, we will all die. If we surrender, Dongwu replied, we might live, but Earth will never learn what happened to us. The aliens will know that humans can be intimidated. They might decide to attack our home system next. He paused, looking at each member of his crew. But if we fight, even if we lose, we will send a message. We will show these aliens that humans do not give up easily. And if we win, we will prove that their technology is not as superior as they think. Yoon So-young checked her navigation instruments. Captain, if we are going to fight, I recommend we move toward the asteroid field. The larger alien ships will have trouble maneuvering in that environment. Excellent thinking. Plot a course toward the densest part of the asteroid field. Maximum speed. Sir, Kim Ha-na reported. The alien ships are powering up their main weapons. I think they are preparing to destroy us. Dongwu returned to his command chair. All stations battle alert. Charge the railguns to full power. Route all available power to engines and armor systems. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Around him, the bridge transformed from a peaceful exploration vessel into a warship ready for combat. Lights dimmed as power flowed to weapons and defensive systems. The quiet hum of normal operations was replaced by the sharper sounds of a ship preparing for battle. Captain, Lim Hyunwoo said, the aliens are transmitting again. They sound angry. What are they saying? They are demanding to know why we have not surrendered. They say that no primitive species has ever refused to submit to the Valthek Confederation. Dongwu smiled grimly. Send them one more message. Tell them that they are about to learn why that is about to change. As the Indomitable accelerated toward the asteroid field, Dongwu felt a mixture of fear and excitement. In the next few minutes, he would either prove that human ingenuity could overcome superior firepower, or he would die trying. Either way, the galaxy was about to learn that humans were not like other species. Fleet Commander Nexus stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of 3 of his most powerful warships. In over 200 years of military service, he had never lost a single vessel under his command. Now, in less than an hour, a primitive human ship had destroyed or disabled half of his fleet. Communications, he said, his voice tight with controlled anger. Open a priority channel to Confederation High Command. I need to speak with Admiral Zeth immediately. Sir, his communications officer replied. The nearest relay station is 6 hours away. Any transmission will be delayed. Send it anyway. Priority Alpha authorization. As his crew worked to establish the communication link, Nexus studied the sensor readings from the human ship. The Indomitable remained hidden in the asteroid field, occasionally moving between the larger rocks. Its heat signature showed that it was conducting repairs, but it was still clearly ready to fight. Tactical analysis, Nexus ordered. I want to understand exactly what happened here. His tactical officer activated a holographic display that showed the battle from the beginning. Sir, the human weapons appear to be based on kinetic energy rather than plasma or energy beams. They fire solid projectiles at extremely high velocity. How high? Our sensors estimate approximately 10% of light speed, sir. The projectiles are small, dense, and moving too fast for our point defense systems to intercept. Nexus watched the replay of his flagship being hit. The tungsten projectile had passed through his energy shields without any interaction at all. The shields that could stop the most powerful energy weapons in the galaxy were completely useless against a simple piece of metal moving very fast. Why did our shields not stop these projectiles? Sir, our shields work by creating energy fields that interact with incoming energy attacks. They deflect lasers, absorb plasma, and disrupt particle beams, but they cannot affect solid matter that has no energy signature beyond its kinetic motion. And their armor? Completely different design philosophy, sir. Instead of energy shields, they use layers of physical armor, designed to absorb and dissipate energy attacks. When our plasma weapons hit their ship, the outer layers burn away, but the inner structure remains intact. Nexus realized that he was looking at a fundamental difference in how two species had developed military technology. The Valthek had focused on energy-based weapons and defenses because every other species they had encountered used similar systems. But humans had apparently developed along completely different lines. Sir, his weapons officer reported, I have been analyzing the human ship's weapon systems. Their main guns appear to be electromagnetic accelerators, what they call railguns. They use magnetic fields to accelerate metal projectiles to incredible velocities. Can we defend against such weapons? Not with our current technology, sir. Our shields are useless and our ships are not armored against kinetic impacts. The projectiles are too small and fast to shoot down with our weapons. Nexus felt something he had not experienced in decades. Uncertainty. His entire career had been built on the absolute superiority of Valtech technology. Energy weapons that could destroy planets, shields that could stop any attack, ships that dominated space through pure firepower. Now a single enemy vessel had made all of that seem inadequate. Sir, his sensor officer called out, the human ship is moving again. It appears to be leaving the asteroid field. On the main display, the Indomitable emerged from behind a large asteroid. Its hull still glowed in spots from the earlier plasma attacks, but it moved with confidence and purpose. As Nexus watched, the human ship began accelerating directly toward his remaining 3 vessels. They are attacking again. Sir, his tactical officer reported unnecessarily. All ships evasive maneuvers, Nexus ordered. Do not maintain formation. Spread out and use maximum distance. His 3 remaining ships began to scatter, trying to avoid the fate of their destroyed companions. But the human ship was faster and more maneuverable than Nexus had expected. It changed course smoothly, pursuing the nearest Valthek vessel. Aboard the Indomitable, Lieutenant Choi Min-soo tracked the fleeing alien ships on his tactical display. Sir, they are trying to maintain distance and avoid close combat. This confirms our analysis. Their ships are designed for long-range energy duels. Captain Dongwu studied the enemy movements. They are learning from our previous attacks. That makes them more dangerous, but it also tells us something important. Sir, they are adapting their tactics, which means they recognize that their standard approach is not working. But they are still thinking in terms of their own technology. They are trying to use distance to negate our advantage, but they do not understand that our weapons work differently than theirs. Commander Kim Ha-na checked her targeting systems. Sir, the fleeing ship is still within railgun range. Our projectiles do not lose effectiveness at long range the way energy weapons do. Target their engines. If we can disable their movement, the other ships will have to choose between abandoning their companion or moving closer to defend it. The Indomitable's railgun fired again, sending another tungsten projectile across the vast distance between the ships. At 10% of light speed, the projectile reached its target in less than a second. It struck the fleeing Valthek ship's main engine array, causing a massive explosion that disabled the vessel's propulsion. As Dongwu had predicted, the 2 remaining enemy ships faced a difficult choice. Their companion was now helpless, drifting without power. If they abandoned it, the humans might capture advanced Valthek technology. But if they moved closer to help, they would be vulnerable to the same weapons that had already destroyed 3 ships. Nexus watched his 4th ship become a casualty and realized that the humans had outmaneuvered him strategically as well as tactically. Every decision he made seemed to play into their advantages while highlighting his own weaknesses. Sir, his communications officer reported, Captain Vorth is requesting immediate assistance. His ship has lost main power and cannot escape. And if we move to help him, we will be within range of the human weapons, sir. Nexus understood the trap he was in. His ships were faster than the human vessel over long distances, but their size made them easy targets. If he tried to rescue Captain Vorth, he would lose another ship. If he abandoned Vorth, he would be retreating from a single enemy vessel with a fleet that had once seemed invincible. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "I recommend we withdraw and request reinforcements. This enemy requires a completely different approach." "We cannot retreat," Nexus replied. "If word spreads that a human ship defeated a Confederation fleet, it will encourage other species to rebel. Our authority depends on the belief that we are unbeatable." But even as he said the words, Nexus knew that the situation had already spiraled beyond his control. The humans had not just won a battle. They had revealed fundamental weaknesses in Valthek military doctrine that had gone unnoticed for 3,000 years. The Indomitable was now approaching the disabled Valthek ship, moving with the confidence of a predator approaching wounded prey. Dongwu had positioned his vessel so that if the two remaining alien ships tried to rescue their companion, they would have to attack through a field of debris from the destroyed vessels. "Sir," Communications Officer Lim Hyun-woo reported, "we are receiving a transmission from the disabled alien ship. They are requesting to discuss terms." "Terms? It appears to be a surrender offer, sir." Dongwu considered this development. The capture of an intact alien vessel would provide Earth with enormous intelligence about Valthek technology. But it would also require him to divide his attention between securing prisoners and fighting the two remaining enemy ships. "Mr. Choi, what is the status of the other alien vessels?" "They are maintaining distance, sir, but they have not withdrawn. I believe they are waiting to see what happens to their disabled companion. And if we accept the surrender, it would give us valuable intelligence, but it would also complicate our tactical situation. We would need to board and secure an alien ship while remaining ready for combat." Dongwu made his decision quickly. "Signal the disabled ship that we accept their surrender, but they must remain exactly where they are. Any attempt to restore power or weapons will be considered hostile action." As the Indomitable took position near the disabled Valthek vessel, the two remaining enemy ships found themselves facing an impossible situation. They could not rescue their companion without exposing themselves to devastating attack. They could not destroy the disabled ship to prevent its capture without appearing to abandon their own people. And they could not defeat the human ship that had already proven superior in combat. Nexus realized that the humans had achieved something remarkable. They had completely reversed the tactical situation. His fleet had begun the engagement with overwhelming superiority in numbers and firepower. Now the single human ship controlled the battlefield and dictated terms to the survivors. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "what are your orders?" Nexus looked at the display showing his crippled fleet and the small human ship that had destroyed it. For the first time in his long career, he had encountered an enemy that fought with weapons and tactics he could not counter. The humans had not won through superior technology or overwhelming force. They had won by thinking differently. 6 hours after the battle ended, Fleet Commander Nexus finally received a response from Confederation High Command. Admiral Zeth's image appeared on the bridge of the Void Crusher, his expression showing the strain of trying to understand the impossible report he had received. "Commander Nexus," the Admiral said, his voice carefully controlled, "I have read your preliminary battle report 3 times. I need you to confirm these details personally." Nexus straightened in his command chair. Around him, repair teams worked to fix the damage caused by the human weapons. "Admiral, every detail in my report is accurate. A single human vessel destroyed 3 of my ships and disabled a 4th. My remaining vessels were unable to engage effectively. Explain to me how primitive kinetic weapons penetrated our shield technology." "Sir, the human projectiles ignore our energy shields completely. Our shields are designed to interact with energy-based attacks. Solid matter moving at high velocity passes through them as if they do not exist." Admiral Zeth was quiet for a long moment. "And their defenses?" "Physical armor designed to absorb energy attacks, sir. Our plasma weapons damaged their outer hull but could not penetrate to critical systems. They appear to have designed their ships specifically to survive energy weapon attacks. That suggests they knew about our capabilities before this engagement." Nexus shook his head. "I do not believe so, sir. Their tactics and technology suggest they developed these systems to fight enemies using various types of weapons. They appear to be prepared for any type of combat, not specifically anti-Valthek warfare. This was the detail that disturbed Nexus most. The humans had not built their ships to counter Valthek technology. They had built them to fight anyone, using any weapons in any situation. Their military thinking was fundamentally different from the specialized approach that had made the Confederation dominant. "What is the current tactical situation?" Admiral Zeth asked. "The human ship has accepted the surrender of Captain Vorth's vessel and is currently conducting salvage operations. My 2 remaining ships are maintaining position at maximum sensor range. The humans have made no attempt to pursue us, but they have also made it clear that any approach will result in immediate attack." "And your assessment of human intentions?" Nexus considered the question carefully. "Sir, based on their communications, I believe they are explorers who were not seeking conflict. However, they responded to our intimidation tactics with immediate and effective violence. They appear to view any threat as a challenge to be met with overwhelming force." This was another disturbing aspect of human behavior. Most species, when faced with superior numbers, attempted to negotiate or surrender. The humans had simply attacked, apparently confident in their ability to defeat a larger force. That suggested a level of military confidence that came from extensive combat experience. "Recommendations?" the Admiral asked. "Sir, I recommend immediate consultation with our xenology specialists and military analysts. The humans represent a completely different approach to warfare than we have ever encountered. Our standard tactics and technology are inadequate against their capabilities." Admiral Zeth nodded grimly. "I am dispatching additional fleets to your position. Do not engage the human vessel again until reinforcements arrive." As the transmission ended, Nexus turned his attention to the tactical display. The human ship continued its work near the disabled Valthek vessel, apparently unconcerned by the presence of 2 still functional enemy ships. That confidence was either foolish or justified by capabilities that Nexus had not yet seen. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Dongwu reviewed the intelligence gathered from the surrendered alien ship. Chief Engineer Park Jiho had led a boarding team to examine Valthek technology, and their discoveries were remarkable. "Captain," Park reported via communication link, "this ship is incredible but also limited. Their energy generation capabilities are far beyond anything we have developed. However, their entire design philosophy is based on the assumption that all combat involves energy weapons." "Explain." "Sir, they have no physical armor at all. Their hulls are designed to conduct energy efficiently, not to resist physical impacts. Their weapons are incredibly powerful, but they are all forward-mounted and designed for long-range combat. They have no close-range defensive systems and very limited maneuvering capability." Commander Kim Ha-na studied the alien ship's specifications. "Sir, it appears that every species they have fought has tried to match their energy output, rather than developing alternative approaches. They have been fighting the same type of battle for thousands of years." Lieutenant Choi Min-soo highlighted another important discovery. "Captain, their communication logs show that they expected us to surrender immediately when faced with superior numbers. They have apparently never encountered a species that refused to submit to intimidation. This painted a picture of a galactic civilization that had become stagnant through dominance. The Valthek had achieved supremacy through superior energy weapons, and every subsequent enemy had tried to beat them at their own game. No one had thought to try a completely different approach until humans arrived." "Sir," Navigator Yoon So-young reported, "long-range sensors are detecting additional alien ships approaching our position. At least 12 vessels, much larger than the ones we have already fought." Dongwu considered their options. The Indomitable had proven that human weapons could defeat Valthek ships, but 12 fresh vessels would be a much more serious challenge. More importantly, he had accomplished his primary mission, making contact with alien civilization and demonstrating human capabilities. "Mr. Lim, open a communication channel to the lead alien ship." "Channel open?" "Sir." "Fleet Commander Nexus, this is Captain Dongwu. I believe we have both learned important lessons today. I propose that we discuss terms for a temporary ceasefire." The response came quickly. "Captain Dongwu, what terms do you propose?" "My ship will release your surrendered vessel and withdraw from this system. In exchange, your reinforcing fleet will allow us to depart without pursuit. We can then arrange for formal diplomatic contact between our species." There was a long pause before Nexus responded. "Why do you offer these terms?" "You have demonstrated superior tactical capabilities." Dongwu smiled. Commander, my mission was exploration and contact, not conquest. I have no desire to destroy your ships unnecessarily. However, I want to make it clear that any attack on human space will be met with appropriate response. Understood. I accept your terms. As the Indomitable prepared to depart the Kepler 442 system, Dongwu reflected on what they had accomplished. His small crew had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, but more importantly, they had established humanity's position in galactic civilization. The aliens would now know that humans could not be intimidated or easily conquered. They would also know that human technology and tactics were completely different from anything they had encountered before. That knowledge would spread throughout their confederation and beyond. Captain, Communications Officer Lim Hyunwoo reported, "We are receiving transmissions from multiple sources throughout this region of space. It appears that news of our engagement has already spread to other species. What are they saying?" "Many appear to be requests for contact, sir. It seems that there are other species who have been suppressed by the Valthek Confederation. They are interested in learning more about human capabilities. This was an unexpected development, but not an unwelcome one. If other species had been waiting for someone to challenge Valthek dominance, humanity might find allies in this part of the galaxy." As the Indomitable engaged its faster-than-light drive and departed the system, Chief Engineer Park Ji-ho submitted his final report on the alien technology they had examined. "Captain, I believe we can integrate some of their energy generation techniques with our kinetic weapons. The combination of human and alien technology could produce weapons far more effective than either species has developed alone." "And what about defensive applications?" "Sir, if we can combine their energy shields with our physical armor, we could create defensive systems that protect against both energy and kinetic attacks. No other species in the galaxy would have anything comparable." Dongwu nodded. The encounter had not only demonstrated human military effectiveness, but it had also opened possibilities for technological advancement that neither species could achieve alone. 3 days later, the Indomitable reached the edge of human space and transmitted a complete report to Earth Command. The message would revolutionize humanity's approach to galactic civilization and military planning. Meanwhile, throughout Valthek space, Fleet Commander Nexus's battle report circulated among military leaders and government officials. The impossible had happened. A single primitive ship had defeated an entire Confederation fleet using weapons and tactics that made their advanced technology useless. The report sparked intense debate about military doctrine, technological development, and the fundamental assumptions that had guided Valthek civilization for 3 millennia. Some officials demanded immediate military action against human space. Others argued for diplomatic contact to learn more about human capabilities. But all agreed on one point: the galaxy had changed. The age of unquestioned Valthek dominance was over, and a new player,